have an update here about this Charlie Kirk investigation. A friend of the show sent me this video. I don't know how I missed this, but they sent this to me and they wanted to get my opinion about it because they knew that I've worked at universities for quite some time. And a part of my position as an academic advisor also included planning events. Well, it appears that now the event form that was submitted for Utah Valley University has now been released. The local news station shared this information, and I just want to walk you through some of these alarming details here. And also what is important about these dates, when this form was submitted and what else was happening at that point in time. So we are continuing to talk about this, guys, because I really do believe, and I've said this before, Kash Patel, the FBI, they're covering up something. As I said before, I do not understand why the FBI is involved in this case to begin with anyway. We went through the list of requirements for the FBI to intervene in said case, and it's not checking off the boxes for me. So let's go ahead and go into this. That form to schedule this rally has now been released. And I do want to show you guys this here. We need to talk about this. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Utah Valley University has provided the document that created the rally at which conservative activist Charlie Kirk was shot to death, but it is not providing the security plan for that day. I'm Fox 13 investigative reporter Nate Carlisle. We've been asking UVU for records related to the September 10th Kirk rally. After about 6 weeks, this is the first record provided. It's the application submitted mid-July by the UVU chapter of Kirk's Turning Point USA.
Pause. Okay, the application for this event, for this rally that Charlie Kirk spoke at before he was killed, was submitted in mid-July. Now, hold on to that date for just a second, that date range, because there was something else that happened mid-July. So, is it standard to submit these applications for college events? Absolutely. Even if you are an internal organization, a campus organization, you still have to complete a form about your event. Now, usually on these forms, it will ask you a couple of questions. How many people are expected to attend the event? That's a big one. And also, whether or not you will provide or you need it provided security detail, if you need security. Now, we'll go ahead and say this. Typically with college events that are over a certain amount of people, sometimes 50, sometimes 100, that is required that you have security detail. It is also interesting to me that considering the fact that Charlie Kirk was a public figure, I feel like that should have been implied anyway. For example, when Ben Shapiro came to Boston University, when I was still at BU and I was still working there, when he came to Boston University, there was security provided. So as an academic advisor, I have hosted multiple events for students because that was a part of my job. So I'm used to completing these forms. I know what the requirements are. And also typically if there are a certain amount of people, 50 to 100 or sometimes over 100 people, you're required to have security detail. If it's a public figure, it's required that the university has to provide some type of security detail. Let's continue on. This is really interesting, folks.
The applicants answer standard questions about time, place, and a description of the event. However, we noticed there is one question not asked on the form, whether organizers need any police protection. That's a standard inquiry at, for example, University of Utah events.
Pause. Let's go back and look at that form. He is telling you that that is a standard. It's a standard at the Utah Valley University events. And you can see it here. Police security, no or yes. Let's go back and hear what he said exactly again, just one more time. And I'll put the captions on here as well.
The applicants answer standard questions about time, place, and a description of the event. However, we noticed there is one question not asked on the form, whether organizers need any police protection.
He is saying that question, according to the application that they have received, did not have that question on the form. Does everybody hear this? That with this particular event, this reporter is saying that the police protection question was not on the application form. That is unusual. From my experience, that is unusual, especially considering the fact that the event speaker is a public figure. Guys, I've been doing this for a long time. I worked at universities for over 10 years. I worked at different schools. So I worked at MIT, I worked at Boston University, I worked at Northeastern, I worked a little bit temp at Harvard, but I've worked at different universities, and I'm here to tell you something here is not right. Why is it that all of a sudden something that is a standard for events at Utah Valley University is not present on the form for this particular event? That is very weird. And remember, when the shooting happened, one of the questions that I did have was, okay, where was security? Where was campus security? This is just unheard of. Guys, when I worked at MIT, Matt Damon was one of the commencement speakers. When Matt Damon came to speak for graduation, there was security everywhere. And it's not just someone who's a celebrity. If you're a public figure and you're speaking at a university, security is provided. So something here is off. Wait till you hear this part.
That's a standard inquiry at, for example, University of Utah events. Speaking of police, UVU has denied Fox 13 News' request for a copy of the Kirk rally security plan. The university is citing the provision in state records laws keeping confidential, quote, security measures, end quote.
Okay, so they have denied a copy of the security plan. So you can see it here. Access is denied under the following grammar provisions. So here's the thing. They feel as though this could hurt the investigation. So here we go, right? Okay. One of two things is happening here. Either they're not providing that security plan information to the news station there. One, because there wasn't a security plan, or two, because there's something there that they don't want reported. There's no way getting around this, ladies and gentlemen. That information should be readily available. And of course, if the FBI did their best due diligence, then there should be nothing to hide there. I said the same thing about Kash Patel refusing to allow further investigation to see if there was some type of foreign intelligence that was attached to Tyler Robinson. If you did your due diligence, there should be nothing to hide. So this is murky. This is very weird to me. Turning Point USA, the campus apparently chapter, was the one that submitted this application according to the local news station here. It's just very, very strange to me.
Security measures, end quote. The campus also has expressed concern that the records could interfere in any investigation and someone's right to a fair trial. Tyler Robinson is charged with Kirk's murder. Fox 13 plans an appeal of the denial, and we are still pursuing a variety of records related to the Kirk shooting. For now, in the
Okay, so they're trying to file an appeal, and they're looking for more information. We're going to come back to this video for a second because I do want to ask a question there about the number of attendees. So I actually went to Utah Valley's website. Let me show you this here. I went onto their website, and this is the page here for on-campus organizations. So there's two pages that they have. There's one for external organizations to submit an event, and then there is the one for the on-campus organizations, which also that's not uncommon, right? So I tried to see if I can get in to see as much as I can. However, their scheduling system is done by 25 Live. I've used 25 Live at universities as well. So what happens if you try to schedule an event or just to go into it here, just to see what you're looking at? The problem that you run into is this, right? Like, you have to sign in. So their events are managed by 25 Live. It's a a database that we used before at other universities. So I couldn't get in to see if I can take a look at the process as well. But I did just want to show you guys that. That being said, if you go back and you take a look at this crowd, I want you guys to guess, how many people do you think attended this event, right? If I were to make a guess, let's go back to the part here where people were running so we can see. Probably at least 100 at a minimum, right? Probably 100 minimum at that event. Okay. So technically, from my experience, that would require that you have security because you have at least 100 people. That's just from my experience. Maybe Utah Valley has a different rule about the number of people, but put these two things together, at least 100 people and a public figure, right? And then also the fact that that police question apparently was not on the form, even though it's a standard for Utah Valley University, according to the reporter there. This is all important, and I'm telling you that this is relevant when we get to the dates of this as well. You'll also see Sam Parker posted this on Twitter. Same thing, Utah denied the official grandma request for Charlie Kirk's autopsy. Oh, this is different, excuse me, my bad. Autopsy report. I wanted to touch on this as well. The autopsy report. Utah has denied an official grandma request for Charlie Kirk autopsy report by ignoring it. GRAMA is the Government Records Access and Management Act, and this is the Utah equivalent of FOIA. And you'll see here, I guess this is the screenshot he's sharing to show you, your public records GRAMA request via the Open Records portal has not been answered within the allowed time limit. It has expired and is therefore considered a denial. The request was autopsy report for Charlie Kirk, submitted to the state medical examiner. That submission date was October 8th. And then it goes on to say you have a right to an appeal. So here's the thing, folks, okay? It expired because that request was not answered. But I'm here to tell you it wasn't answered on purpose so that it would expire. Because let's just put all of this together. Again, Kash Patel does not want people looking further into this. The FBI does not want people looking further into it. I mean, surprise, surprise, the FBI has done this numerous times before in the past. So this isn't new. So they let it expire so that it's just dismissed. This is another question more people need to ask. Where is the autopsy report? Where is it? Why is that something that is private? Why is that something that's not readily available to the public? I don't see what the big deal is, right? Because for sure, if the FBI is telling the truth, this shouldn't be an issue, right? And then let's go back to the dates. According to that reporter, the date that that application was submitted for that event was mid-July. You know what else happened mid-July? This Turning Point USA debate that Charlie Kirk moderated between Dave Smith and guess who? Josh Hammer. The same Josh Hammer that was apparently in that group chat. Not too happy about the fact that Charlie Kirk was saying that he wanted to leave the pro-Israel movement. You know what was mentioned at that debate? Here's one of the things that was discussed.
Look, if you support what Israel's doing in Gaza right now, I would just, like, my advice to you guys is just know that you never have a leg to stand on claiming to be pro-life for the rest of your life. Just saying that. If you... Oh, so it's okay to support policy.
Let's not boo our speaker,
It's okay to support a policy that is killing babies. All of a sudden, killing babies is negotiable. All right, fine. I'm just reading the room.
So, Dave, why don't you...
No, I'm not talking about for Hamas.
Hold on. Back up, Dave. Why don't...
I just let you go on this whole long thing.
I know, I'm going to actually help you out here, Dave, okay? What I'm doing is I want you to tell the audience what's going on in Gaza, because some people in the audience don't know what's going on. So don't assume they know. And let's not get back.
Oh, okay. Well, I did assume that most people know that lots of babies are being killed in Gaza, but maybe I shouldn't have assumed that.
Don't be sarcastic about it, Dave. Instead, I mean this. Because
no, I meant that literally. I did assume that.
Loop where they're on social media all the time. Okay, so Walk through numbers, walk through what animates you to say something like that.
Well, okay. Well, let me respond to a few of the things that Josh claimed. I mean, if you want to go, there was just a major report a couple weeks ago in Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, where they had a bunch of IDF soldiers. They actually had one who went on record who was saying that they were ordered to shoot at crowds of people who were going into
all right, more libel left-wing filth, by the way.
So this is one of the things that was said at the Turning Point USA debate. I covered this. A lot of us covered this at that point in time because we were like, this was a good thing because this was said in front of a MAGA crowd, a crowd that supported Trump, a crowd that supports, Charlie Kirk, etc. They need to hear this. A crowd that is pro-life, they need to hear what was happening to people in Gaza. Dave Smith is correct there. That was reported via Haaretz from an IDF soldier that also, yes, he did say that they were instructed that when the Palestinians come to ask for food, come to get the food, to shoot them. They were instructed to do that. Again, he is debating Josh Hammer. Charlie Kirk is in the middle. Let's continue.
Josh, I let you talk. Let's please let Dave make his case.
Well, is the IDF soldier who went on the record also filth?
Probably.
Okay. All right. There you go. So see, you're whatever. That's when you'll criticize the IDF. Netanyahu thought he had this brilliant idea, which is that he would prop up Hamas and keep them in power. His exact quote was, "We can control the height of the flame." So he was like, we'll keep these terrorists in power, and that way we can tell the entire international community that, look, we have no partner for peace. We have no one to deal with here. And that way we never have to negotiate with the Palestinians. This was the game that he played, and it blew up in his face and really blew up in the Israeli people's face on October 7th. And I've never downplayed October 7th. I know, but I'm just making the point that I never have.
Thank you for that, because what happened there is totally...
Day. You don't have to downplay any of that. And in fact, I've criticized many other critics of Israel who have downplayed that. It was a horrible day. Awful, atrocious acts were committed by Hamas terrorists. But at the same time, Benjamin Netanyahu was propping those guys up. In fact, according to the Israeli former defense secretary, he sent the head of the Mossad to Qatar to, quote, beg them to continue shipping the money in. Meanwhile, they had a blockade around Gaza. They wouldn't let sugar, they wouldn't let potatoes in because they claim that's dual use. That could be used to build rockets. So the kids can't get, food. Yet hundreds of millions of dollars in cash directly to Hamas. I guess money doesn't have a dual use. So, the whole mission of this, what you can't even really call a war, because it's not a war, it's the destruction of a captive people. Gaza's been occupied since 1967 by the Israelis, and they're now just slaughtering the people there that's a fact, and it's under the supposed goal that they want to eliminate Hamas and they want to retrieve the hostages. And yet, Hamas is not being eliminated.
Hamas uses human shields.
Yeah, they certainly have. I'm not denying that. But at the same time, it's kind of, if let's say, in a domestic criminal situation,
and Dave Smith's take on this is not my take. I think Dave Smith I think his criticism here of Israel is milder than mine, because what Dave Smith doesn't mention here in his debate is that people who are occupied have the right to resist by force. And that can't be said enough. But what you notice about this conversation is that Charlie Kirk let Dave Smith speak. He let him say that Israel has been occupying Gaza since said date. He talks about, again, occupation. That is key, right? Because that means the people are held captive, as he also pointed out. He also points out that they were instructed to kill people as they were coming to retrieve food. Again, there's a lot that is being said here. And he also said that if you are pro-life, then you should not support babies being killed in Gaza. Long story short, folks, a lot was said. And I would say someone like Benjamin Netanyahu, who definitely supported Charlie Kirk and looked at an organization like Turning Point USA and the evangelical Christians as crucial support for the state of Israel. So imagine having someone on that stage say what Dave Smith just said right next to Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk didn't do a lot of interrupting there, and he let Dave Smith get the message out. That message went out to hundreds of people there at that event who probably went back home after that and started to question things about Israel. Fast forward to what we have now, a number of younger MAGA supporters openly questioning Israel and the U.S. relationship with Israel to the vice president, J.D. Vance, was just happened the other day. So too much got out. Too much information went out, ladies and gentlemen. Same week as that application was submitted for Utah Valley University. Now, it could just be a coincidence. But considering that the FBI has not been transparent about this investigation, considering that Kash Patel doesn't want people to look into it further to see if there was foreign intelligence ties to Tyler Robinson, considering the fact that I have not seen any evidence that proves that Tyler Robinson was the one who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, I think people need to pay close attention to this. We'll go on a little bit more here, and I'm going to show you something else that he said.
There was somebody who killed a bunch of people, and then they ran into a school, and they're like using the kids as human shields. They're hiding behind the kids. And then your local police department came over and said, blow up the school and killed all the kids. You wouldn't go, well, they have no moral responsibility because they were using them as human shields. Yeah, as Bill Burr said in his special, you got to work around that, bro. And Hamas is terrible. Nobody's arguing with that. But that doesn't mean there's no responsibility for the people dropping the bomb.
Got it.
And by the way, again, as you don't want to talk about, how about when they're shooting at people trying to get aid? There were no human shields there.
I do want to talk
Go look
about
at a picture of Gaza. The human shields does not describe most of what's happened to Gaza. Yes, there are certain instances. And by the way, Israel also has a bunch of military targets in civilian areas. I'm just saying that doesn't actually mean it's okay to just now you have a moral get out of jail free card to do whatever you want to the poor innocent people who, as you pointed out, are also victims of Hamas.
Josh.
And that's what people are objecting to. We are going broke. We can't afford to do this anymore. This is like me taking out money on a credit card to lend to my friends so I can act like I'm the big shot who's lending them money. We are destroying our own young people. You, not me. I'm not a young person. I'm fine. I'm in my 40s and I make good money. Your whole generation is getting screwed over by this because we have to devalue our currency in order to keep up with the demands for this spending that we cannot afford. And so the answer is that we need to pull back. We need to focus on America. That's what America First is supposed to be about.
The crowd starts cheering and clapping. You see, that was not supposed to happen, not with that type of message, because he ends that by telling them, this is not America First. We have to look out for America, right? So, again, look at what happened during that time. That's coming from Dave Smith. There's another part where he talked about Epstein. I do want to show this one as well. Something else that he said at this event.
Dave Smith, July 8th, 2025. In the last month, Donald Trump has launched a war of aggression on behalf of a foreign government, exploded the debt, announced that he's continuing the Biden policy of arming Ukraine, and covered up a giant child rape operation. So according to my interlocutor, Donald Trump is not just engaging in wars on behalf of a foreign government, he is also covering up the world's giant pedophilic child sex trafficking ring, allegedly, I presume, on behalf of a foreign government as well. So I'm disgusted, frankly, that this man is on stage, but I'll end it at that.
Okay, well,
remember, Josh Hammer, puppet for Israel, right?
got it. So you can see peace is hard. I'm trying to keep the peace. Now, Dave, I want to give you an opportunity, about 4 minutes to respond to that. But also, I do want to, now that we had the opening salvos and the Tomahawk missiles launched, let's respond as you see fit. No, and then bring us to the 12-day war, because let's stay focused on that.
Yeah,
we can.
Well, the thing, Charlie,
but defend yourself.
Sure.
Obviously.
Well, the thing is, Charlie, as you may have noticed, and some of you may have seen some of my other debates. Every single time I come up here to debate issues, and they come up here to debate me and my character. It's all they have every single time, because they can't actually take on any of the arguments. And so the most pathetic low-hanging fruit of, you guys like Trump, this guy said bad things about Trump. Listen, guys, I'm a free American. I supported Donald Trump in this last election. Yes, he did just actively cover up a giant child rapist ring, and I'm going to criticize him for that, okay? And I'm sorry, after all these years of us right-wingers saying, protect the children, come on, that's bad for your soul if you don't. You speak up about that. It's horrible what he's doing. And, you know, as far as the actual substance of what Josh said here, which there really wasn't much, but I already pointed this out the last time we debated, his topic about how Sharon was against the war in Iraq is total nonsense.
Okay, then he gets into Iraq, but the point is he also brought up Epstein. Guys, it's not just the people who were present in that audience that day. It's all the people, all the MAGA supporters, in particular the younger ones that watch this across YouTube. A lot of us covered this. So the other thing that he brought up was Epstein. And this is important because, yes, Dave Smith did vote for Donald Trump, but he was still willing to criticize him and call him out. This is not a message that Donald Trump would want to get across. This is not a message that Benjamin Netanyahu would want to get out there to get across, bringing up Epstein, bringing back the children into everything, making the connection between the children in Gaza and the children that were exploited and that were violated on Epstein Island, making that connection. And then he also tells you that he is right wing and that if anything, they should be standing for the children. That was not supposed to happen. And Charlie Kirk allowed that conversation to take place, right? One thing I will say is that he did bring different ideas across, right? Like different people with opposing views and all that type of stuff. But the point is this, that message got out mid-July. The submission for the application at Utah Valley University for that Charlie Kirk rally was also mid-July. And then we fast forward to August, which is where Max Blumenthal's article comes in handy again about that Hamptons event. So the Hamptons event takes place in August.
And more people started coming out and more people started talking and people were talking to me. And these were people who had knowledge of a tumultuous, stormy meeting held in the Hamptons during the first week of August, convened, according to multiple sources, with knowledge of this meeting, intimate knowledge of this meeting, by the billionaire ultra-Zionist financier Bill Ackman, who's close to Netanyahu and his kind of network in the United States. Charlie Kirk was summoned along with an array of young, sort of vapid, very avaricious conservative influencers who seem to be sort of in Israel's back pocket to set a very pro-Israel tone for this meeting. And Charlie Kirk was, according to one source, hammered by Ackman and others for allowing Israel critics, very prominent conservative voices like Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, or the anti-Zionist Jewish comedian Dave Smith to appear at his events. And actually, Charlie Kirk was planning to host many of these same figures again in December, and he had just added to his TPUSA major, I think it's called America Fest in December, the premier critic of Israel in Congress. I didn't say Republican critic, I just said premier critic because that's what she is now, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
So let's just put the timeline together, folks. Mid-July, Dave Smith debates Josh Hammer in front of a Turning Point USA audience, calls out Epstein, calls out Trump, calls out Israel, calls out the kids being killed in Gaza. Mid-July, the application for Utah Valley University is submitted for the Charlie Kirk event. August, there is that meeting in the Hamptons with Bill Ackman where Charlie Kirk is allegedly confronted about his positions on Israel and apparently wanting to have people like Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene be a part of America Fest. And also remember, there's also this statement from Candace Owens, as she showed people as well, that he wanted to bring her back to Turning Point USA. September, Charlie Kirk is killed. So for me, it's just putting all the pieces of the puzzle together, I think it is very bizarre that that police question was not there present on that application for that particular event, even though they said it was standard. I think it's very strange that they do not want to submit to the reporter their security plan. And I believe that's because they probably did not have one. All of these efforts that are being made to hide information only leads to more people questioning the narrative that was presented by the FBI and that has also been presented by corporate media. And I want to say something about the media really quick because this part is very important, okay? Corporate media is needed to push the narrative that the FBI wants pushed. So Kash Patel can say whatever he wants to say, but it is with the help and assistance of corporate media outlets, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, it is with their help and assistance that that narrative spreads worldwide and is repeated over and over until people believe it. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark with this one, guys. Something is not right. There's a lot of things that have been happening, and I think you should question everything. Question all of it. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.